starting with this particular video analysis that actually promises to expose not 2, 3, 5, but 7 key Zimbabwean players. Of course, so guys, so if you're seeing my channel for the very first time, in simple terms, this is actually Operation Naija must qualify for the World Cup. Guys, see here, this is my own contribution, that is positively, to ensure Nigeria qualifies to the World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and the United States in 2026. And the only way you can also contribute your own quota is, to this very painstaking effort I invest into this course is by smashing that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell in this very, very insightful video analysis. So guess what? We are going to expose the exact blueprints for how the Super Eagles can clip Zimbabwe's wings. By the way, since the last video that I made, you guys have actually responded generously, as the total subscribers count have grown by an additional 150, and I say a big thank you. Now, you watching me right now can also join these, tastefully selected, distinguished audiences of this channel by smashing that subscribe button. Now, don't procrastinate, do it now. Because subscription basically costs you absolutely nothing. Just use your fingertips, guys. Just use it. Smash it now. Okay, so I have actually deprived myself of sound sleep, and I mean it, to unveil these weaknesses inherent in Nigeria's opponents en route to Canada, United States, and Mexico. Guys, I have actually completely dissected Rwanda in these videos. You can check them out. But today, we are actually diving deep into yet another opponent in the Zimbabwe national team. So starting with this particular video analysis that actually promises to expose not 2, 3, 5, but 7 key Zimbabwean players. Of course, I am well aware football is actually a team sport, but nonetheless, in every team, certain players are actually crucial to the success or failure of their team. And of course, Zimbabwe are no exception as well. So as such, if these Eric Shaw Team Card Super Eagles are able to curtail these players that I'm about to expose their strengths and weaknesses, we stand actually a very, very great chance of not just picking up maximum points, but also dominate this very crucial game on our way to returning to where we actually truly belong on the log. Number 1. Guys, let me tell you something. Zimbabwe might be underdogs on paper, but they have at least 7 deadly weapons that could actually hurt if you are not being very careful. So by the end of this video, you will know exactly how Nigeria can neutralize these threats and also dominate this game. So guys, let's break down the 7 Zimbabwean players we must shut down. Come along with me, guys. So next up is this guy I like to refer to as their engine room commander. His name is Marvelous Nakamba. So this man's name literally has marvelous in it, and for a good reason, trust me. So Nakamba is Zimbabwe's midfield general. So this man is actually played in the English Premier League, and he's got experience at Aston Villa and Luton Town. So this experience has given him the tactical, intelligence to control games from deep. But here's the thing about Nakamba. He's got 2 major weaknesses that I've been able to find, and I'm going to expose those weaknesses right now. So first, when pressured intensely, he tends to play safe horizontal passes rather than, those progressive and vertical passes. Second, it lacks, the creativity in the final third where it actually matters most. So I'm going to tell you exactly how to neutralize Nakamba. Question is, how exactly do we neutralize Nakamba? So here is it. Nigeria needs to assign, a very dedicated central midfielder. Ideally, it should be Fisayo Bashiru. He would have actually done a most amazing job to shadow Nakamba, constantly and render him, docile. But unfortunately, Bashiru will not be available for this game. So as such, perhaps Wilfred Ndidi could possibly execute this job from a very critical CM role effectively. So the key here is to suffocate Nakamba's space. Every time he receives the ball, we need someone breathing down his neck, forcing him to play those, safe passes basically. So what I'm saying basically here is that Nakamba is that kind of player that runs out of ideas when he's short of space. Basically, he thrives when he's got lots of space around him. So if we have someone that can constantly close him down whenever he has the ball and stop him from thinking and, able to send passes to the forward line, then we would have successfully shut down one of Zimbabwe's most important channels for kickstarting offensive transitions. Close down Nakamba and Zimbabwe would struggle offensively when going forward.
So guys, a quick one on Nakamba. Look at this real quick. If we are able to cut off his forward passes, he likes to dictate play from deep, like I said earlier. So if we are able to cut off his forward passes and force him to play backwards when he gets the ball, then Zimbabwe loses their primary progression route. Basically their entire build-up falls apart if we're able to cut off that. So how exactly are we able to do that? I'm just going to spend a few minutes to explain that real quick. So Nakamba has a tendency, to drift left whenever he has the ball, especially when under pressure. So if our right-sided midfielders like Chukwueze and Ndidi anticipate this and cut off those escape routes that he tends to always try to use, we will force turnovers in dangerous areas. That's exactly how to render a midfielder like Nakamba completely ineffective. Like I said, he has that penchant to drift left of the field. Perhaps that's because the left foot is his stronger foot, so he always tries as much as possible to drift left, and kickstart, attack from there. So if you're able to close him down, starting with Chukwueze and double team him with another player like Ndidi, close down that channel to kickstart offensive transition, is definitely going to turn back and play backwards. And that would effectively render this particular route for offensive transition for Zimbabwe extremely ineffective.
So next up is their defensive rock, teenage Hadebe. Guys, despite his name, this man is by no means a teenager. At 29, Hadebe is the anchor of Zimbabwe's defense. He actually dominates aerial duels and organizes perfectly their backline. He's played in the Turkish Superliga, I think, and also in the MLS as well. So it does bring very crucial experience to Zimbabwe's defense. But guess what, guys? Hadebe has a glaring weakness, and I'm going to expose that weakness right now. His lack of pace. So Nigeria's strategy should be simple but devastating. Just isolate Hadebe in space. Victor Osimhen's blistering pace is the perfect weapon to quell Hadebe's, to expose Hadebe's deficiencies. So this is the bait. We need to draw Zimbabwe, we need to draw their defense high up the pitch, then hit fast transitions that force Hadebe to turn and chase. It's a race he's never gonna win against our attackers, as he struggles. He actually does struggle to run backward towards his own goal. So guys, let's talk about Zimbabwe's creative spark. the duo of Walter Musona and Prince Dube. So basically, I'm going to analyze both of them simultaneously, starting, of course, with their strengths. So first, Walter Musona. This dude right here is he actually scored the most amazing long-range free kick from 30 yards in the reverse fixture away in Harare. So if there's one reason Nigeria should avoid conceding free kicks around the box, it's this guy called Musona. So Musona's set piece delivery is absolutely deadly. Go watch the video again from the last reverse fixture. Whether it's whipping in corners or taking direct free kicks, he has the quality to create danger from dead ball situations, basically. So Nigeria needs to be very disciplined in defensive areas. One rash challenge, trust me, Musona can make us pay with a moment of set piece brilliance. So we have to be extremely careful with this guy. So this 29-year-old Zimbabwe'S FC player brings flair, it brings creativity and moments of pure brilliance to this Zimbabwe team. Is very, very technically gifted. I mean, the ball sticks to his feet like it's glued there. The close control attributes he possesses makes him, very, very dangerous, especially in tight spaces. Exactly the kind of, player who can unlock packed defense with individual brilliance. So we need to keep an eye on this guy. He's extremely, extremely dangerous. Don't take him for granted. Yeah, of course, like any other player, Musona definitely has his flaws, and Nigeria needs, to exploit them ruthlessly, of course. First, his defensive work rate is very questionable, guys. At best, he's very, very questionable defensively. He rarely tracks back with, any intensity, leaving Zimbabwe vulnerable down his flank. Nigeria should attack the spaces he leaves because we will actually force Zimbabwe to either substitute him early or accept defensive vulnerability. They would definitely not want that. Second, he can be very physically dominated. I mean, despite his very technical skills, Musona is not the strongest player and can be muscled off the ball. And also, and finally, his decision making can be very erratic. I mean, when pressured, he sometimes holds onto the ball for too long or, attempts the spectacular when the very simple pass is on and very obvious. So Nigeria's approach should be very aggressive but controlled, because he's very good at set pieces. Press him intensely, force him onto his weaker foot, which is his left foot actually, and maintain, physical dominance in duels. So basically, turn his creativity into frustration. That's the way to actually render Musona very ineffective. Now, secondly, I'm going to talk about Prince Dube because his deadly combination with Musona is absolute menace. What makes this duo particularly dangerous is how they perfectly, complement each other. Dube is very direct, always looking to run behind defenses, while Walter Musona is creative and capable of picking out those runs with defense splitting passes. It's this very unique understanding that makes them so threatening.
So guys, like I emphasized earlier, the duo of Dube, this guy right here, and Musona, they love to combine, like they complement each other a lot. So Nigeria needs what I call a three-part strategy. First, deny the space, and I'll explain what I mean. So basically, our defensive line, starting with Basi, Ogbu, Ekong, and Aino, basically, and especially Ekong needs to organize the line perfectly to avoid gaps Dube can exploit. It thrives when it sees gaps and spaces because it could be really, really fast. So Ekong must play his leadership role at all times. There is no room for loss of concentration. So he needs to play that leadership role and be very active about the movements of Dube and Musona. Second, physical dominance. That's the second way to actually quell Dube and Musona's, Dube especially this time, Dube's strengths. So basically, we need to assign our strongest center back, most likely Ogbu, because the guy is actually really, really strong. So we need to assign Ogbu to mark him closely as much as possible, especially when he drifts, when he cuts in, because he doesn't like to play by the byline. He loves to cut in, and if he cuts in, it's gonna be face to face with either Ogbu or Ekong, one of the center backs. Basically, most likely it's gonna be face to face with Ogbu. So Ogbu needs to mark him closely whenever he plays that inverted football and tries to like cut into the box to find either Musona wide or Kadewere in space. So we need to establish that psychological dominance by closing him down at every point in time. Third, we need to cut the supplies. So basically, our midfield must press Zimbabwe's creators. So these guys right here, Ndidi and Papa Daniel, must press Munetsi as much as possible, double team him if possible, such that he's unable to like find those killer passes, because he's very capable of dishing out those killer passes to whoever he desires during the course of the game. So we need as much as possible to like stop him from block those creative channels to Dube to cause harm. So if the service doesn't come, Dube becomes very frustrated and isolated. So we should always make sure to cut off the supply channels that would make Dube thrive in space to hurt us as much as possible through 90 minutes. There is no room for loss of concentration. What I just said right now must be deployed, must be done all through the game, because this guy right here, Dube, is so restless. All he needs is just that one chance to like punish Nigeria. If he has that chance, trust me, he's gonna take it. So we can't afford to take our eyes off Dube. And if you are able to like close down the creative channels from Munetsi as much as possible, like I said earlier, Dube is gonna be frustrated and is gonna be isolated, thus ineffective throughout the game. So guys, this right here is what I call the anti-Musona strategy. For Walter Musona, we need a different approach from what we deployed against Dube. So first, for Walter Musona, we need aggressive pressing. Basically, don't give him time on the ball to think, because the more he thinks, the more capable he is to like inflict hurt or punishment on Nigeria. So we must avoid that as much as possible. So we need one energetic midfielder like Papa Daniel on his case, and also possibly double teaming with Aino as well. So if you have a Papa Daniel, approaching him from his right and Aino to his left, then it's going to run out of options. So we need aggressive pressing to quell or to extinguish the potential threats posed by this guy called Musona. Because Musona on his day can actually replicate what Adingra did to Aino at the AFCON. So we hope and pray that the version of Aino that pops up on match day against Zimbabwe is not the same version that played against Adingra at the AFCON. So we hope is the prime Aino. If Aino, steps up to the plate on the day and presses Musona aggressively alongside Papa Daniel, then Musona will be extremely, extremely docile on match day. So second, we need to avoid, whatever we do, both Aino and Papa Daniel or Ndidi, as the case may be, whatever they do, they must make sure they avoid needless fouls, because this dude right here, Musona, is more than capable of converting free kicks with ease. Trust me, Zimbabwe will look for those fouls in vital areas. Trust me, they're gonna look for those fouls every time because they trust Musona to deliver when it comes to set pieces. So, guys, discipline is key. No diving into tackles near our box, and also we need to make him earn everything and minimize set piece opportunities for Zimbabwe, because whenever they find themselves in and around the box, they're gonna try as much as possible to invite tackles by Ekong, by Aino, and the rest of the guys in the Nigerian team. So we need to avoid those senseless, reckless, needless tackles in and around the box, because Musona is more than capable of punishing us like he did in the reverse fixture. Third, we need to also channel him. By channeling him, what I actually mean is that we need to force Musona onto his weaker foot and towards the touchline, because his options would become so limited when he's forced towards the touchline. That's where, because when he cuts inside, he likes to cut inside a whole lot of time. So when he's able to do that, if he's able to cut inside with the ball, if he's able to cut inside with the ball and have the ball on his right foot, then he has the capacity to hurt us more than we can even think. So we need to avoid that. So I know basically must always force him towards playing close to the touchline and not cutting inside by playing inverted football. So force him to the byline, avoid needless fouls, and also press him aggressively. These three things would make Musona ineffective and very, very docile on match day.
Yeah, so guys, the next victim on my list is their clinical finisher, whom Nigeria's Moses Simon must know so well. His name is Timo Kadewere of Nantes in the French League. So do not let his inconsistent club form fool you. For Zimbabwe, Kadewere transforms into a very, very lethal predator, because his movement in the box is very eye-catching, and he only needs half a chance to punish teams. Basically, trust me, he can be very clinical whenever he decides to. So Kadewere's greatest weapon for me is his intelligence. He's basically not the fastest or strongest, but his ability to find pockets of spaces is what I describe as elite. So how do we shut him down, basically? Nigeria needs to employ a contact strategy. That's what we need to do for Kadewere. Kadewere thrives when given space to operate. So our center backs, basically William Troost-Ekong and Igbobu, most preferably, need to play tight, because I've always recommended Basi playing as left wing back. So Igbobu and William Troost-Ekong needs to play really, really tight and aggressive, or calculated aggression on Kadewere. If he has players breathing down his neck constantly like that, he's gonna be extremely docile.
So guys, quick one on Kadewere or Kadewere. I'm not sure about the pronunciation anyways. Yeah, anyways, the key basically is denying him service as much as possible. This guy right here, Kadewere, the key is denying him service every time possible. So Kadewere isn't someone who creates his own chances. Is not a creative player per se. So if you're able to cut off the supply lines from Munetsi, from Mbeba, and from Musona, Kadewere becomes isolated and ineffective, basically. So basically, also our central midfielders like Ogu and Ekong must also track his very clever movement in and around the box, because that's where he actually thrives. It likes to pick smart pockets of spaces such that he's able to receive passes from these players that I just talked about. So when Kadewere drops deep to collect the balls, because sometimes when he doesn't get the service he's been anticipating, it would actually be forced to drop deep to collect the ball. Someone needs to go with him, basically. Wherever he goes, when he drops deep, someone needs to follow him around just to make sure he's well taken care of. So basically for Kadewere, the best way to take care of him is give him no free space anywhere. Turn this finisher into a frustrated spectator, and Zimbabwe will be quiet in the final third.
So guys, next on my list is Jordan Zemura, Zimbabwe's dynamic left-sided threat. So Zemura is the modern definition of a wing back. He's actually very technically gifted, lightning quick, and always looking to join the attack. Also, in addition to that, his crosses are very deadly as well, and his combination play with Zimbabwe's left winger creates overloads that can actually overwhelm defenses, trust me. But guys, having said all of that, here's the fatal flaw in Zemura's game. His attacking instincts leave massive spaces behind him. So basically, Nigeria needs to set a trap. Let Zemura push forward as much as possible, then exploit those vacant spaces with rapid transitions. So how do we do that? Samuel Chukwueze or whoever plays on our right wing on the day should stay high and wide as much as possible when defending. So the moment we win possession, we need to hit those channels immediately before Zamura can recover his position as soon as possible. But we can't just rely on counter attacks. Guys, as a matter of fact, the counter-attack tactic I just talked about right now should only be deployed occasionally over 90 minutes. Why is that? Guys, we are playing at home, and second, with due respect to the Zimbabwean national team, we should be taking the game to them as much as possible in the course of 90 minutes. But guys, however, in football, there will most definitely be spells during the game where you receive the hit by the opposition, however inferior they might be to you. And no matter how superior you are as a team, you're going to be experiencing certain spells during the game where you'll be under attack. It is during such spells that this counter-attack tactic that I just highlighted would be extremely, extremely invaluable. Remember, Zimbabwe are bottom of the log. Somewhere in their heads, they must be thinking, they must be fantasizing that they could possibly pick up a win against erratic Nigeria as well. Why not? It's very possible. So we need to be very, very wary of that.
So guys, we basically need as much as possible to, actively bait Zemura forward. We need to bait him forward with every given opportunity. So our right back, should appear, he needs to feign vulnerability such that it draws Zemura to him as much as possible, while Musona hopes to double team at some point. Once Zamura is committed forward, our midfielders need to quickly switch play to release our right winger, because having baited Zamura to this part of the pitch, he's got lots of ground to cover, to retreat. So once he's committed forward like that, we need to quickly switch play to release our right winger into the space Zemura has abandoned. So basically, what I'm saying here to neutralize Zemura, or to find a gaping hole through Zemura's wing, is to is to exploit the spaces it leaves behind, because it's gonna leave lots of spaces, trust me. So basically, turn his greatest strength into Zimbabwe's biggest weakness. His biggest strength is basically offensive transition, but we can also pounce on that, threat and exploit it as much as possible to our own advantage. So every time it's going to leave spaces behind, because like I said, Zimbabwe actually fancy their chance of picking maximum points in Nigeria, because for crying out loud, they are bottom on the log and they need that 3 points as much as Nigeria does as well. So they would fancy their wingers, not just Zemura and also Mbeba, to launch offensive transitions. So we need to keep an eye on those careless transitions they make, and have our midfielders quickly switch play to release our wingers, be it Chukwueze to the right or Simon to the left, when either Mbeba or Zemura make that forward offensive transitions.
So guys, the last but definitely by no means not the least on my hit list is English Premier League player Marshal Munetsi. So this is a guy I like to refer to as Zimbabwe's midfield enforcer, standing at about 6'1". Munetsi is a very physical player who breaks up play and launches attacks with his very impressive passing range. So his performances for run, I don't know if I got the pronunciation correctly, in the French League One, spanned across 6 seasons, where he actually registered impressive numbers despite playing from deep in the midfield. Guess what? 21 goals in 148 games. You will definitely agree with me that these numbers definitely show some quality. So at the moment, Munetsi plays in the English Premier League for Wolverhampton Wanderers. So this is one guy we need to keep an eye on. So what exactly are Munetsi's weaknesses? So what are Munetsi's exact weaknesses? Number one, he can actually be technically exposed when pressured intensely. So what I'm saying here basically is that Nigeria's attack-minded players like Ademola Lookman, and also players like Samuel Chukwueze and Simon Moses, basically they need as much as possible to drop deeper when they lose possession. So instead of pressing wildly, we need to draw Munetsi into what I call advanced areas where he's less comfortable. So basically, we need to force him to play progressive passes under pressure, and we will create turnovers that would actually result to opportunities in dangerous areas. Second, another tactic is quick combination. We need to play quick combination around Munetsi, because Munetsi excels in physical duels but can be beaten with sharp technical exchanges of passes. So basically, if our midfielders can play quick one-touch football, Munetsi will be chasing shadows all game. So we need to have that in mind for sure. So there you have it, guys. The ultimate blueprint for Nigeria to dismantle Zimbabwe's key threats. So what I'm saying here basically is that neutralize these 7 players the way I just highlighted, and the Super Eagles won't just win, we will actually dominate. So guys, smash that subscribe and like buttons now if you haven't already. Don't procrastinate. I need you to help this channel grow as much as possible by supporting efforts, real intense efforts expended into making unique video analysis that you will hardly find elsewhere. Until next time, guys, keep believing in the Super Eagles. Talk to you soon. Bye.